Welcome, Flyers fans. You're listening to Chris Mayer, Flyers Fan Mania 93 on YouTube.
All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tristan. Today I am back with another video here. So today it's getting closer towards the draft, and obviously there's still a lot of things that the Flyers have to do this offseason. Obviously don't have a head coach yet, so obviously there's many different questions about what's going to be happening over the next handful of weeks. So one thing I wanted to start doing is my draft content. Obviously the Flyers have a top 5 pick. They will be picking at 5, and I'm going to be looking at some players and some different possibilities on scenarios of who gets picked where for the Flyers, and let's take a dive into this. One of the players that I personally think, if he's available, the Flyers should definitely go and get is Matthew Savoie, and that's who I'm going to be looking at today, as you see in the title and by the thumbnail. But again, there's many different players that the Flyers can get. So let's take a look here at some possibilities. Okay, so the first scenario here, obviously with the top 5 being the same, and I'm doing this without any trades. So this top 5 here, obviously you have Montreal, New Jersey, Arizona, Seattle, and then the Flyers. I have Shane Wright going 1 to Montreal, Logan Cooley to the Devils at number 2, Slavkovsky going number 3 to the Arizona Coyotes, David Jiricek to Seattle at number 4, and that would lead the Flyers to have either Savoie, Kemmel, or Nemec right there that they could select at the number 5 spot. The number 2 scenario, I've still Shane Wright going to Montreal, Logan Cooley to the Devils, Slavkovsky again going 3, and then this would switch where both defensemen don't get taken. Say Savoie goes 4 to Seattle, then the Flyers have Nemec, Jiricek, or Kemmel. If that were to happen, I'd like to think the Flyers would probably go Jiricek. If they went Nemec, I'd be okay. The same thing with Kemmel. And then let's take a look at the third option here. So the third scenario here, I have Shane Wright still going number 1 to Montreal, a little bit different now. Slavkovsky going number 2 to the Devils, Jiricek going 3 to Arizona, Nemec going 4 to Seattle. If those two teams were to take defensemen, because some of these teams could either go defenseman, they could go offense, you really don't know. But that would leave the Flyers to have Cooley, Savoie, and Kemmel available. That would be like the dream. That's like the dream scenario, the pipe dream. That's like the oh my gosh scenario. If that were to happen, I don't think it will, but that's just a possibility. So those are just a handful of scenarios there that we could see happen this summer with the draft, and there's so many different things, because you don't really know, because again, outside of number 1, you don't really know what's going to happen. That's probably the most, outside of the third scenario like I talked about, that's probably the one that is less likely to happen out of the other two. But again, let's get into the topic of this video with Savoie, because he is just a very good player. There's a lot of different things that I like about Savoie. I think the number one thing is that he's a shoot first kind of guy. Again, he's smaller, similar to Connor McLennan, who is one of his teammates, played on the same team, Winnipeg Ice, in the WHL. They actually were just eliminated in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference Final in the third round of the Edmonton Oil Kings. But again, Savoie, right-handed center, he's listed as 5'9", 178 pounds. This past season with Winnipeg in the regular season, 90 points in 65 games played, 35 goals, 55 assists, and as I said, in the playoffs, they did get eliminated in 5, but he had 12 points in those 10 games, 6 goals, and 6 assists. He has a great shot, can distribute many good passes, whether it's off the rush, power play. It's a lot of chemistry with McLennan. It seems like it's pretty much the 1-2 punch there on their power play. For majority of their season, it seemed like some games McLennan was on the right, some games Savoie, they would just interchange. So Savoie can play the left side, can play the right side. He's done it before. I'm curious to see if that will translate over to if it's the AHL where he starts, or if he were to make the NHL and any of the other teams if he doesn't get selected by the Flyers. But we'll see. He's, again, fast skater, quick hands, makes his little kind of plays look easy. He's got a pretty good hockey IQ, has a good sense of where players will be on the ice. It seems like he's, one thing I noticed is that he can really pick pucks out of his feet pretty quickly. He's got a really good release. Again, as I said, good hockey IQ. I think that first step can really help him because once he gets it, he really can burn the defenseman. He's an emotional player, and he kind of reminds me of Konechny a little bit with the way that he is. If I were to compare him to a Flyer, and I'm not saying comparison, and like that's what I think he's going to turn out as. And he just a player he reminds me of is Konechny on the skill side of things. He kind of reminds me of Kyle Connor a little bit with Winnipeg. He's a fast guy that can score, can really burn you up the ice. Pretty good hockey IQ. Like he reminds me a lot of Kyle Connor. He definitely is a guy that I think the Flyers could be in on. If he's there, I don't know if he will be. Obviously, the one thing is, being a center, the defensive style of game, he's smaller and he's going to have to put on some weight, obviously get a little bit stronger. So that is one thing. And that stuff can change over time. I'm not expecting, if the Flyers were to select Savoie, I don't think he makes the team out of camp. But that being said, I do think that these things can change over time. I think players like that are still able to grow, things like that. So he really is a guy that I do like. Again, and I think the shoot first kind of guy, because outside of McLennan and Tyson Forster, the Flyers really don't have many shoot first guys. I don't think that'll change any sort of way that they go and attack this year's draft. I don't think that will. But outside of those guys, you really don't have many guys that are legit shooters, legit goal scorers. And again, it's not like Savoie, can't be on the playmaking side of things too. I mean, as I said, 35 goals, but 55 assists with it. So that is one thing. I'd like the Flyers to take a center because they don't have that many great centers in their prospect pool. It's just crazy to me still how the prospect pool has gone from, I believe 2018, it was ranked number 1 by ESPN, in this past year I think it was like 27th. It's unbelievable how the player development of these guys on this team has seriously gone down. But again, Savoie definitely is a guy that I do think the Flyers can take. Again, the shoot first mentality that he has, and he's familiar already with a prospect. Connor McLennan has great chemistry with him. And speaking of McLennan, the Flyers actually have until Wednesday, I believe 5 p.m. is the deadline to sign McLennan. So I would assume that deal is probably already done. Just officially won't be announced. My guess it would come out Wednesday. McLennan did post on his Instagram. If you saw my tweet, he did post on his Instagram that whole kind of thing, saying thank you to Winnipeg, but we will see. So Savoie is a guy that I do think the Flyers can be in on if that first scenario that I talked about is available. But let me know your guys' thoughts below if there are any guys that you think the Flyers can take this summer in Montreal in July. So again, there's a lot of different possibilities here. There's a lot of different things that can happen, this upcoming year with the draft. But again, let me know your guys' thoughts below. Remember, the call-in show starting up June 10th is episode 1. You can call 267-939-1216 and leave a message, and it might just get picked up on the show. Again, thank you to SeatGeek. You can check them out as well. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you all again soon.